Hello everybody and welcome to something a little bit different. Today I'm going to be doing a book review of Fade by Robert Cormier. You may notice my copy is in shambles, so to speak, and that is because my dog got rather antsy while he was home alone and decided to destroy this book, which is fine because, spoiler alert, I did not enjoy the book all that much. Anyway, it's a relatively short novel. It comes out to, if I can read it, I will tell you, 293 pages, so it's a relatively short read. I read almost the entire first half in the course of one night, and then I got sidetracked for a while, and I ended up reading the second half in a McDonald's play place yesterday. Overall, Fade is a relatively decent book. I think it's well written, and I think parts of it are well written, and I think that Robert Cormier clearly has a talent for writing, but the story is not particularly gripping for a lot of it. This book was published in 1988, and part of the story takes place in 1988, but most of it does not. The short plot synopsis is you have a boy named Paul. Around age 13, he discovers he has the ability to turn invisible. His uncle pays him a visit and he tells him that this ability is what he calls the Fade, and it passes in their family from uncle to nephew, usually around the age of 13. So it follows Paul in the summer of 1938, exploring his abilities with the Fade and seeing things that he shouldn't be seeing in the town monument. It's quite interesting, but it fails to do the most it could with that relatively interesting plot. It has a couple different time jumps, which actually I thought were kind of interesting in how they did them, which I won't spoil, but it does jump forwards to 1988 briefly in the middle of the book, and it jumps back to 1963, and then the book concludes there. So it's kind of neat that it has a story that only really makes sense as one linear story if you take it non-linearly, which is interesting. I think I've read some other stuff that kind of does that, but this book does that really well, so that is one of its strengths. Well, funny enough, there is a review here on the front from Stephen King, in which he says, "Imagine what might happen if Holden Caulfield stepped into H.G. Wells' The Invisible Man, and you'll have an idea of how good Fate is. I was absolutely riveted." Stephen King. Oh, my cat Ernie has come to visit us. Hello, Ernie. Hello, everybody. Say hello to Ernie. Hello, come here, Ernest. This is Ernest. He's a little guy. His mother's probably around here somewhere as well. Her name is Elvira. And my dog is sitting outside the door right now, but this is Ernest. You're free to go, my friend. Speaking of Stephen King, a lot of Stephen King's works in the 80s, if you are familiar with them and having read them, get into some particularly weird scenes involving children that are far too young to be in them. This book does a little bit of that, and I didn't particularly like reading that because it's uncomfortable and weird. So maybe, Robert, next time you pick up the pen and put it to paper, don't do that because it's weird and it's gross and icky and I don't like reading it, so thank you very much. I'm well aware of how a 13-year-old boy thinks. I've been there, done that. Don't need to do it again. Thank you. So, anyways, overall, my official rating for Fade would be 3 out of 5 stars because I think overall it's relatively weak, but what I won't spoil, the last segment of the book here, which I've denoted there, that whole last segment of the book is very good. So, this book essentially is a lot of runaround and waiting for that last, I don't know, those last 80 pages or so. Those last 80 pages. Hello, Ernie. Can you lower your tail, please? Get out of my tea, Ernie. Look at this guy. He's like a stretch limo. Get out of here. Thank you. It's a lot of runaround waiting for those final 80 pages because those 80 pages are the finest part of the book as a whole, and I was missing the bottom right corner for most of them. Fade was an experience. I read it once. I will not be reading it again. Enjoy the book if you happen to find it. If you paid very little for it like I did, then you may enjoy it. However, otherwise, I don't think it's worth the paper it's printed on. Have a good day.
$50 million.
$50 million? And who you think you kidnapped, Chelsea Clinton?